Hey, Bucks Nations, it's me and AJ with the pre-game show. Our Bucks have already made it. What's going to happen? But guys, please make sure you hit that like button, strip that subscribe button, and sack that notification button, and you can intercept us in the comments.
That's
AJ,
right.
how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Shout out to everybody. The Bucks fans are in. This is one of those games where I can be happily intoxicated and not be mad. Isn't that a beautiful thing, Bucks?
Yes.
We haven't been that way in a long time where we're drinking because we're happy. This is basically a game of this is what I call the game of uncut gems. We need to see who is on this field because let's be real. If the Bucks get their shit together and they get a good, nice early lead, we can see what Kyle Trask is about. KJ Britts of the world. We want to see who can be in the reserves that could be of service in the playoffs because we have to be real. And when it comes to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, sometimes it's that unsung hero that makes things happen. So this is a game where we need to. This is preseason. Let's monitor who should be here and who shouldn't be. How do you feel about it, Slick?
Pretty good. I hope they don't keep the starters in for too long, but enough to get I give them a quarter, maybe even to the half. I'm okay with that. But we want to keep them fresh. We want to get people go. We want to get people going and bouncing in and out. So yeah, I want to see KJ Britts, a guy we wouldn't mind seeing a little piece of. I'm hoping that Suckup gets his shit together with the kicks because we're coming into the playoffs. That's the bit where you need to nail it because it was all season long. He was saving us with the kicks. He had a bit of a dead game. He bounces back. It doesn't matter. We go straight into the next one. I'd like to get the win because it's just positivity going into the next one. I'm not crazy about it. Also, it kind of shuts a few people up if they say, "Oh, you look at the Bucks and their division. You put a win on there. We've got a winning record." So
exactly. But for all the other people out there, I just want to go like this. You act like that this is the first time in NFL history that a team has done this. We've seen this plenty of times. The fucking Seahawks were 7-9, and look at what they did to the Saints. Beast mode was born because of that. Stop looking at every division has a shitty moment. It doesn't matter. The NFC East was literally the ass end jokes for years. But now all of a sudden that they got a winning record, now they're dominant. No, this is the NFL. This is why we love football. Shit happens.
Things change.
Yes, things will change. Look at the game last night. That was a battle of the bungles, and it just happens that Jacksonville came out on top. Shout out to them, but it's about how you finish and what you're going to be a threat of in the playoffs. I say again, before I'm just gonna say this: don't nobody want to see the Bucks in the playoffs. You don't want to see that shit. And we got one home game. I guarantee you, whoever we play between Philadelphia and the Cowboys, they're like, "Fuck, we really can't underestimate this team."
No, you can't underestimate anyone in the playoffs because let's face it. You look at the Super Bowl season that we got. The team that probably got us the closest and really brought it home to us was the first one,
right? Washington,
because the team that's got the losing record doesn't have all the bells and whistles. No one's talking about them. So they just go, you know what? Let's just throw the kitchen sink and see what happens. Because you're playing for why not us?
Why not us? And I agree. You're right. And also you play for that. Who are they? Again, if you believe in your team, you go so much further than what you think. Again, that's why you don't ever overlook a team. Because let's be honest, throughout this entire season, I can name at least 4 games the Bucks overlooked the competition and they got surprised bad. And that's why you always come into the game. I think, honestly, again, I told you the players are going to be more of a sense of an urgency. They want to win this. Levante Davis of the world, William Golston of the world, Mike Evans of the world, they know what it's like to be in the dark ages of shit. I guarantee you Levante is like, I'm not going back to that. I'd rather retire or go somewhere else and get a bigger bank account than go back to that. So we're not here to tell you guys the Bucks are going to win it all, but we're here to tell you, I can tell you for damn sure, they're not losing the first round. That's just not going to be in Brady's nature. Brady has his record, and the Bucks still have too much on paper to beat whoever. honestly, if Hurts isn't 100%, I don't. If Hurts doesn't play today, that's a concern.
Yeah, I mean, it is for them, and it allows him to get his legs under him. So even if he is playing, let's say they play the Bucks for the sake of argument, and they go and
Yep.
play the Bucks, he's gonna be rusty. He's not gonna be on because he's obviously not gonna be doing as many drills. He's not gonna be as working his craft as much. So he'll be a bit rusty, and that kind of suits us. Now we're not saying look he's gonna be bad or anything, but he could be worse than he
I'm going to
has.
say he's going to be bad. His throwing arm, his throwing shoulder, that's what he fell on. A lot of people don't realize he fell on his throwing arm and shoulder. I don't think if people for you haven't played football out there, throwing on a bum shoulder fucking hurts. And you don't want to do anything where it damages it further. So what if he turns into the Chris Godwin of early season, cautious? As a quarterback, you cannot be cautious. That's how you lose games. And remember, his skill is improvising out of the pocket, running for it. He might not be inclined to do that so he doesn't get hurt. Because the worst thing that he would want is to play in the playoffs and get knocked out of the game. Because then that throws off your entire mojo. So yeah. I know a lot of people think that our better chances are playing Dallas. However, if Hurts is still playing like his last name, I don't know. Bring on Philly. Because offensively, you stop their run, it's it. Minshew is not beating you through the air because he makes too many mistakes. He's not there yet. So I don't know. If Hurts doesn't play today and the Eagles lose,
to be honest, I don't think it's either way it goes round. I think the Buccaneers will get either matchup. I'm not scared of either one of them.
Me neither.
The only thing I would say about Minshew is it'll be his first playoff game, which means he could either be super pumped for it and play lights out because it's his first moment of that kind of spotlight, or he could shrivel into himself. And I'd rather just have the good old dependable Dak who knows how to play playoff.
Yeah, Dak is going to be Dak, and their receiving core. That's another thing with Dallas. Their receiving core is not letting go of Amari Cooper was the worst decision that they made. It's like you can clearly see that, and they can't rely on their defense too much because I think what's the face? Micah is still playing with a clubbed hand, so he's not going to be as able to dominant. And let's be real, we already you said it. It's Dak. Nobody in here has ever been like, man, Dak is dangerous. He's who he is, and you have to accept it. Dak is that person, is that friend of yours. If he's an asshole, he's an asshole. You either deal with it or you leave. And you have to deal with it. But I love the fact that we are just disregarding Atlanta. I love it. We're talking playoffs. I'm going to try to get back onto the Falcons.
Yeah, let's get to the Falcons.
Let's just be real. I think Donovan Smith is out, which I don't mind because he's the type where I want him not to physically get better, but mentally. I think Donovan is a very mentality kind of guy. When he's in it, he dominates. But once he gets that shake, we want him to be, hey, you're going to be healthy and mentally take a step back. How do you feel about that, about playing the Falcons today?
Well, a lot of people used to say that he's missing Ali Marpet, and I can understand the argument for that. But you got to remember, he was also a human turnstile when Ali Marpet was next to him when it was BB before Brady. So I don't think it's that. I think it's more what you're saying, where it's a mentality thing. He's being beaten a bit more because Tom Brady, the line, he isn't playing at his best. He's having a bum year, and he needs to figure that out and fight through it. That's adversity for you, and he's got to figure his way through that. He knows there's a championship. It's possible. You can't rule it out. So you're in the dance. Now you just got to do something about it.
You're in the dance, and you got to do something about it. And I do like the fact that Wirth is toughening it out because but the difference is he can do that because we forget Donovan he's not old, but Tristan Wirfs is only in his third year. He's a young man. So he has the position to do that. And I like the fact that he's going to tough it out because that's going to give him more repetition. Okay, so inactive for today. I got the list. Julio Jones is out. I'm all right with that. Carlton Davis, Logan Ryan, Mike Edwards, Vita Vea, Donovan Smith, and Carl Nassib. I'm all right with all of them being out because if they are all able to return, it's lights out football.
Mm-hmm. You can see they're not looking. They'll take the win if it's there, but they're not risking being beat up for the playoffs. to go get this win. Because you don't need it. It's icing. This is cherry on cake time. Yeah. It's cherry on cake time. Our playoff position does not change with this. We've got the cake, we've got the icing, the jam, the jelly's in there, we've got the buttercream in. This is just that cherry on the top to really signify. If we don't get the cherry, we still get cake.
Exactly, and that's now. If I'm the Bucks, though, if you're Bulls and you're talking to Brady, Brady said he doesn't want to sit. So you better come out here and play your ass off. You better have the best first half I've ever seen. I don't want to see no bullshit. We need to carry this energy like when we play Detroit. I always tell people that Detroit game showed a lot because look at what we did. We won with authority. And then when we sat the players down, the backups came in and played well.
That's the standard. This is your standard. We don't change the standard.
Yes. So in due time, I do think if you're going to have your starting offense out there, the first play I actually want to see if they give one-on-one to Evans, bomb that shit to him. Bomb that shit to him to let everybody know you're here to play and that last week wasn't a fluke. If I'm the Bucks, you want to dominate this game so early that you just go, guys, we got this. You want to go out on that level and you want repetition because the Bucks do need repetition on offense because I don't know if you caught it, but tell me you caught Byron Leftwich comments.
I saw the one that's kind of ticked people off the most. The one where he says we're just doing things in a different way. I don't think we're worse than we were last year. And it's like, dude, you just look at the average points you've got. You are missing 12 points. That's 2 touchdowns. They're not including extra points. It's something like 12. It's like 12. I think it might even be 13 points something. But the point being is it's 12. It's 2 touchdowns worth. That's a heck of a lot. Someone turns around and says you scored 4 touchdowns, well, you scored 2 touchdowns. Which one's more? Simple math will tell you 4 touchdowns is more than 2 touchdowns. I don't need to tell you this, Byron.
and Shannon Sharpe and these guys you know what? They owe you and I an apology or a shout out or something because we've been saying this shit all along. It's coaching and play calling, not just the players. Because when Shannon Sharpe said what he said about Byron, I wanted to be like, yeah, dude.
I've not seen it, so you'll have to tell me.
Shannon finally, he said, he went in on Byron. He said, you emotional. We're speaking on emotion. He said, how are we speaking on emotions and your stats doesn't back it up? He said, last year you scored average 30 points a game. This year it's 18. He said, what are we emotional about, Byron? He said, the only person who should be emotional is you. And they went in on his ESPN lit Byron up. And honestly, if for Byron, that didn't help him for the coaching job hunt because now it shows you don't take accountability of your actions. And Slick, you said this months ago. They're gonna ask. You had Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Julio Jones. You had a staff. You had a squad. This was your first year without Arians under you.
This was your chance to go. I can do it all.
What happened? Well, this happened. Such and such. Did you adjust? Because they're gonna. You already know this. The hiring people are gonna study you.
It's just excuses. That's what they'll look at it. They'll go, what happened? And if you can't explain it in relative detail, you're just going to list excuses, and then they'll go, "This guy's just going to be full of excuses." Like, I don't see him getting a head coaching job this year at all. Like his moment has passed for this year. Maybe he can figure it out in the future because coaches are always developing and what have you. So we don't know. Like he could be terrible this year. He might be better next year for somebody else, or I don't know if they've retained him. I don't think they will, but I think they do need to go in a different direction. But he knows he's going to get a job in the NFL as a quarterbacks coach or another OC for maybe a team that's not. Well, he's going to get another job.
Anybody else, please get him the hell away from us. Well, he's gone either way. Let's be real. No matter what, even a Super Bowl win, he is still gone because if I'm the Glazers, they're going to look at it and go, okay, I think the Glazers are probably looking at it more now like, damn, the players are really out here trying. They're doing what they can. And Bowles will be safe because of the fact that despite that we didn't get the results we truly wanted, we're still in the playoffs. We're still in the playoffs. The Buccaneers defense is still a solid contender. That is one thing that we can say that's so different from last year. The offense was lethal, but the secondary was a questionable thing. You can't say that about the Bucs defense this year. The only thing that people can say is, hey, They lost their best pass rusher, and look at what they are still doing. They're
Yeah,
still getting the shit
I think
done.
this defense is better than last year.
I
If
agree.
you take away the pass rush,
Right.
it's altogether that secondary can, even if that's been banged up, has actually been better.
Yes, I agree. And you nailed it, but also, and it's been solid because one thing that they have been able to do, they haven't been getting beat super deep like last year. It was just
Mm-hmm.
bombs away. It's like now it is a hit or miss when the Bucks defense is on, they're on. But they've only had two games where you can just say, oh shit, San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco and Cincinnati, in my opinion. That's it. You could maybe make an argument about the Panthers game.
Yeah,
The
I could be.
first time,
I think maybe I'll go the first Panthers game. I'm just trying to think if there's any more. Uh,
it
yeah,
really hasn't.
I go with those. Um, I think the one I didn't like the most is probably the Pittsburgh one because of the amount of yardage they gave up on the floor.
Agreed. And even with that, the offense still didn't on
But
the Bucks. You didn't take advantage.
they're the best team on allowing scores. So
Exactly. So we can say that Bowles, I think he'll be here, but this team, overall, yes, they're gonna make noise. And if you play today, is just I told you today is a day about
window dressing.
attempts. We want this win because one, we want to go in with dignity and integrity and a momentum for this team to go. Okay, you and besides, you want to show your to each other. Okay, we can
This is
take
what
care.
we're made of.
Right. This is what we're made of, and we can take care of bad teams. The Falcons are a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you, if you put them away in the first half, the
They're done.
Falcons will
What are they playing for, AJ? What are they playing for?
they ain't playing for
Draft
shit.
pick.
Yeah, draft pick. If I'm the Falcons and you're down, let's say 17-0 first half, those players should be like, you know what? Barbados is really nice right now this time of year. Tahiti is nice. You know what? This is cool. The GM should be like, hey, who in the draft do we need? So, like, let's shut this shit down.
I'm
Right.
not going to say they're tank because I don't believe it. Coaches may tank for ownership, but players don't believe in tanking.
Right.
Um,
The players won't, but at the same time, that you can tell the intensity. They'll be playing for
For
employment.
sure, that all it look. We know it's 11 on 11. That's a
Mhm.
fact. That doesn't change. But what you'll probably find is 50% of that 11 will be playing at around about 75%, and there'll be a couple of guys playing closer to the 90s, and there'll be a couple of guys wanting to either playing for contracts, playing for pride, who are like, I'm not thinking about Tahiti. I'm going to do my fucking job, and I'm going to get the fuck out of here. But the thing is, you need all 11 of them on
Right.
both sides of the football field to be dialed in like that. I would
Amen.
expect. Who's the quarterback?
Shit, I forgot.
Ritter?
We know it's not Mariota. That's my point. That's my point. Like it's like this is a team where if you're the Bucks, there's no excuse not to go in there and take care of business. There's no excuse to not go in there and beat their asses senseless. First of all, this is a rivalry team. You don't like them in the first place. Throw up some numbers on them so they could just beat submission.
Then they think about Tahiti because they're like, this is going to be a long.
Right. And I'm going to piggyback what you said about the guys and percentages. The guys who have contracts signed up already, let's say for people who got 2-3 years on their contract, I want them to be at 50-50. All right, I'm going to do something on this play, but the next play, if I don't see it going, I'm definitely going to be here due to contract reasons. Fuck it. Let him get that extra 6 yards. Oh, hey guys, they scored. That's a damn shame.
Come on, let's rally.
Let's go to Magic City. I'm just saying, like we're go wherever strip club, we gonna go there. We gonna do this. We got to do something. You're right. This Falcons team has really nothing to play for. The simple fact that the Bucks are in no matter what, that's a beautiful thing. It ain't like if we would have lost last week, then the Falcons would say, "Yeah, let's be spoilers." No, at this point, the Falcons really don't have anything to play for. If you're the Buccaneers, you have a lot. And as a coach, again, I'm going to keep saying it. I want to see unnamed people make shit happen. And more than that, I want to see Otten run up the seam.
I'll bring him on. And do you want to introduce him?
Sure. We got our guy in here, Jay Retcher. I'm sorry. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. Sorry about that. The church went a little late today. I may be a little bit overdressed for the pod today, but happy to be here with you guys and talking some Bucks football. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I just got a question right now. Give me your three things that you just hope to see with Bucks against the Falcons today.
Number one, health. Got to come away from this healthy. I mean, I've been on the record all week long saying, hey, man, I don't know if it's the smartest thing to have the starters out there. But listen, if the players, the coaches, the front office think this is the right thing, you kind of got to go with them regardless of what we think here on the outside. I'd love to see Cade Otton get a little bit more involved. I think it was only 4 grabs on 13 targets over the last couple of weeks. He's got to be better. We've been clamoring for him to play a little bit more than Cameron Brate because he's more of a do-it-all type tight end. But he's gotten the opportunities and hasn't made the best of them the last 2 weeks. He's one of those guys that really needs these reps against the Falcons. And I just want to see continued growth from the defensive line. Anthony Nelson on one side, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. There's not many guys behind him with Carl Nassib being out. So those guys are probably going to play a good chunk of this game. So we know what the pass rushes look like with Shaq Barrett going down earlier this year. So there's a lot on those guys being able to kind of carry the water for the defensive line. So those are my big 3 things to keep an eye on.
My man. And also, you're in here. Let's give the folks to let them know your resume. Tell them a little bit about you and what you like to do so everybody knows.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm hosting every day, noon to 3 on WDAE, sports radio station here in town, J&Z, with my guy, Zach Blobner. Been with WDAE for about 8 years, been covering this team for, it's almost 9 years now. Covering this team, going all the games, and just, man, doing all things Tampa Bay sports, man, covering the Lightning, the Rays, the Bucks, USF, Rowdies, anything that's going on in the Tampa Bay area. I definitely have my finger on the pulse for that. So excited to be here with you guys today, and hopefully, we're tuning up here about 50 minutes away from hopefully the start of a Bucks win to end the regular season on a high note.
My man, are you a Tampa native?
No, grew up in New York for 20 years, moved here in 2005. A lot of my friends were selling drugs, doing drugs, didn't want that lifestyle. So I picked my happy butt up and moved down here with 3 friends. 2 weeks later, boom, everybody, the 3 guys that moved down, moved back. I was by myself for a while. So started as a baseball coach, did that for about 8 years, coaching all kinds of youth baseball and coaching high school ball and things like that. And then got into radio when I was 28. I'll be 38 this year. So yeah, man, it's just, I've always been a coach, always been in sports, grew up playing hockey and baseball, and, could have played some college baseball, but decided that I wanted to go into the route of being in the broadcasting business. So I ended up going to SUNY Oswego, upstate New York, but didn't work out too well, man. Going to a school with 15 feet of snow in 2 days, I really wasn't conducive to kind of just normal life. So I moved back home, and then a little while later moved down to Florida, and the rest is history, man. Sports is my life, and it's ironic because my girlfriend's not into sports at all, so she doesn't really, she's still kind of finding the lay of the land. But man, I couldn't do it without her. She's such an unbelievable support system. But yeah, sports is my life, man, and it's a daily thing. It's not something I said a couple weeks ago. It's not a switch that I ever turn off. There's a piece of masking tape on the switch. The sports isn't just something that it's not just my job. It's not just my profession. It's my life.
I respect that.
Nice. I like that. That's cool.
Like, you got something that you want to add on?
Yeah. What's your biggest takeaway from this game? So let's say hypothetically the Buccaneers don't win, but what do you want to see from? Is there anything you want to see from the offense in particular? Do you want to see this run game get off, because we have had a sputtery run game here and there? Obviously, I heard that you mentioned Cade Otton, and I'd like to see hit a lot more of him. What about this defense? What do you think? Are we looking at more takeaways? Because we've been a bit behind on the takeaway side of things.
Yeah, and to me, I don't really care. I know some people talk about like, oh, it's coming away with the win. I don't care if they win today. I really don't. It's not going to improve or defeat their draft position if they win the game. And, like I said, the health is number one. If they lose a couple guys due to injury and they win the game, to me, that's not a good trade-off. Offensively, I don't know how long that the starters are going to be in there. I want to see balance. I want to see a little bit of everything. It's going to be tough because, you're playing these guys in the beginning of the game. And, we could see Gabbert, we could see Kyle Trask, but what we have seen this year is the Buccaneer offense, when they're performing at a high level, it's coming in the fourth quarter. So to me, they have to come out of the gates with that type of urgency, like it's a playoff game, almost like it's the fourth quarter, even if it's kind of like a simulation in their head where, hey, man, let's go out and let's play this 15 minutes like it's the last 15 minutes of football we're going to play all year long. Up-tempo on offense, spread the ball around. I want to see a steady diet of not just Rachaad White, but Lenny Fournette. Those short passes to Chris Godwin. Try a deep throw to Mike Evans. get Cade Otton involved. And then defensively, yeah, we'd love to see some turnovers. I want to see that kind of, all right, sideline to sideline type of effort from Devin White, from Levante David, and yeah, come away with a couple of turnovers. Antoine Winfield Jr. is a guy that, since he's come back from injury, he's one of my favorite players, and I think he's got some of the higher ceilings on this entire team. Still a very young player, but I still don't think we've seen his best. He's a guy that I think I look at this in this game against Atlanta going, you be a difference maker, 31. I mean, you're a guy that you shut down Tyreek Hill as a rookie in the Super Bowl, chucking up the deuce. I mean, this is a guy that really planted its flag like, no, I'm not just, my dad's son. I'm a legit NFL ball player. So I think he's a guy where, his level of play could dictate how well this defense plays. So, 31 is a guy I'm keeping an eye on tonight because I feel like his impact could be felt not just in this game, but as we go deep into the postseason.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought that up. Give me an uncut gem or a diamond in the rough player that you want to see, because essentially, let's say if the Bucs offense take care of business and put them away and they bring in our reserves, we know in the playoffs there's going to be that one reserve guy that can make an impact. Is there someone on the offensive side of the ball or defensive side that you want to see like, oh, wow, he could be of a good use in the playoffs?
Well, I'm going to give you two guys. I'm going to give you one guy, and it's ironic enough, and it may come more on special teams, and that's Devin Tompkins. We see him elevated to that returner position. One, they got rid of Jalen Darden. I just like he's much more decisive. We know those guys are both really quick, but there was times with Jalen Darden seemed like he was shying away from contact a little bit. He was sufficient, but not to the level of putting a little scare into the other team. And I think that's what we've seen from Devin Tompkins, and every once in a while you'll see Byron Leftwich, whether it's an end around, whether it's a double reverse type of thing. Sometimes it's Julio Jones, but sometimes they did it with Darden a little bit. Maybe they get Devin Tompkins involved. Not saying consistently, but maybe it's a flash play here or there. And also Zion McCollum. He's a guy that struggled in the secondary, but man, he's so good at the gunner position on those punt coverage teams. Watch for a guy like Zion McCollum being able to get down the field, laying a hit on a guy, picking up a fumble. We talk so much about the offense and the defense and the coaching. To me, the special teams is the wild card with this team because you have those guys. We saw the great play by Jake Camarda last week. We know Ryan Succop from 40 yards in is going to be consistent. I don't want to see Ryan Succop kicking any more field goals after 50 yards. I think he's 2 for 7 on the year. Special teams play could be one of those things that not a lot of people are talking about, but that could be the difference between this team losing or winning and advancing.
I'm with you on that. I got guys like I want to see KJ Britt, but I also want to see Tompkins as a receiver, not just for special teams. He could be that hidden gem where the defensive people might not take him serious. I think he has good breakout speed. I want to see what his hands are like and what his route running is. But that's just me. Honestly, I know we're jumping ahead, but we've already discussed this. Which one of the teams would you rather the Bucs play in the playoffs, Eagles or Dallas?
For me, I think it's easy. And this is saying if Jalen Hurts is healthy, and I think he will be, by the time they get to the playoffs. But to me, it's Dallas. Easy money right there. Multiple reasons. One, I don't trust Mike McCarthy as far as I could throw him, and that's a big dude. He finds a way, even in some of the games. If you watch some of their games this year, getting out coached by Doug Peterson up in Jacksonville against the Jaguars. Just weird plays, even in games where they're winning. He doesn't know how to manage the clock, and he doesn't know how to manage his timeouts. And it's like you're winning by 2 touchdowns and you're still making these mistakes. I think that is a huge disadvantage for the Dallas Cowboys. Also, Dak Prescott. You're talking about a guy that tied for the league lead in interceptions, and he missed 5-6 games. There's just something about Dak where I've usually been a little bit more high on him than other people, but just something about him where when they need him to make a play at times, it's not that he misses the throws. He throws interceptions. So those are 2 big examples for me why I look at them. And I also think Philly's just a more well-rounded team. They have all 3 levels of the defense. They have playmakers. I think in the secondary, they're a little bit more stout. Bradbury on one side, Slay on the other side. Trayvon Diggs is good with the Cowboys when it comes to interceptions, but you can get him to bite on those double moves. And I think that would really behoove a guy like Mike Evans. We've seen in years past against Jalen Ramsey, similar corner to Diggs, where they're going to jump on that first move, double move, boom, touchdown over the top to Mike Evans. I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're the Bucs, take advantage of that aggressiveness for the Dallas defense. And listen, I know how good Micah Parsons is, but I thought up until the Donovan Smith injury, I thought they did a decent job earlier on this year against one of the better defensive players in the game. The defensive line to me is a lot more solid with the Philadelphia Eagles just because they can rotate so many guys in there, Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, a guy we know pretty well. So I just look at the balanced attack from Philadelphia on both sides of the ball and special teams, and I would much rather play Dallas.
I like that. I like that analogy. Yeah. I said earlier, if Hurts is not Hurts, only reason I say Philly because if the quarterback goes down, then I don't think he's fully healthy yet. Is he playing today?
I think he is. I mean, they'll be playing the Giants today. The Giants are going to sit a bunch of their starters. I doubt we'll see Daniel Jones. You're probably not going to see Saquon Barkley today. But yeah, my opinion does change if it is Gardner Minshew, just because Jalen Hurts is that important. I mean, this is a top 5 MVP guy this year. And the way that he's able to dictate what you're doing as a defense, because he has the ability not just to run the football, as we've known over the last year and a half, but also to be able to throw the football. Getting that weapon in A.J. Brown in the offseason was huge. Got Devontae Smith, who, man, he may be skinny, man, but that guy can run routes with the best of them. He's incredible. And you got Watkins, the third receiver, Dallas Goedert, and then, out of the backfield, Miles Sanders and Gainwell. You got a lot of talent. And in my mind, the best offensive line in football. Lane Johnson is not going to play today, but he's going to fight through that rib injury and play in the playoffs. You got Jason Kelce and a lot of those other guys. And that offensive line is just absolutely stellar. Not that Dallas is bad, but I just think the games are won and lost in the trenches. And if you're telling me whose trenches are better, Dallas or Philly, I'm going to go with Philly on both sides of the ball. So that's why I'm always going to try to stay away from a team like that. This is a lot different Eagles team than we saw last year in the playoffs against the Bucs.
My man, I understand. Well, I asked Slick about this a while back already, but give me your percentage of us winning in each round, wild card, divisional, NFC, and possibly Super Bowl. Give me your percentage numbers on that.
Well, I think depending on who they play, I mean, that'll obviously dictate it. I think it's one of those things where their percentage will go up. So, like, let's say they'll have a 60% chance of winning. I think it'll actually possibly go up. So it'll go from like 60 to 65 to 70. The toughest matchup for the Bucs could end up being in the Super Bowl. I know that's kind of like standard, of course, Super Bowl. But once you get, I think, through, the NFC is going to be all about matchups, right? Who is going to play who? Everybody's going to want to sign up to play Minnesota because I think Minnesota is one of those teams that you look at their record, but I don't like how they've played down the stretch. They got shut down by Green Bay last week. And to me, your record is great, but it's not always about what your record is, because if you can go 13-4, but you lose the first game in the playoffs like Dallas could, I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Does anybody want to play Green Bay? Does anybody want to play Tampa Bay? No, nobody wants to play Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. But if you're telling me that you're going to play a team like Minnesota, like if Minnesota ends up playing the Giants in the first round, I know they just beat them a couple weeks ago, but it was only a 3-point victory, right? And the Giants are flying high right now. It's going to be interesting. I think if the Bucs can win this game, they got a really good chance to make it to the Super Bowl. And then, pick your poison. You play Burrow, you play Mahomes, you play Allen. You're probably going to play one of those three guys. Could we see a rematch from a couple of years ago? I wouldn't be so against that, because as a lot of people say, oh, the Bucs haven't done this, their record is this. Well, that stuff don't matter, man. All that stuff don't matter, because once the postseason happens, everybody's record is 0-0, and it's, here we go. It's a race, man. Instead of being a marathon like it's been all year, it's a sprint.
I agree. I told Slick this. If San Francisco loses their divisional round, the Bucs are definitely going back to the Super Bowl.
I got a great path.
Nobody says. I said, if San Francisco on paper is the only team that can match us, because and also the only thing that they don't have that's better is the quarterback. Mm-hmm. But everybody else, it's open season. The NFC is not that strong, and Brady is your best quarterback no matter what. You said it, in playoffs, record don't mean anything. Because like you said, most people would love to play the Vikings because you don't believe in Kirk Cousins. Now, with that being said, offensively, what do you think? Give me your analysis or your personal opinion on Byron. That's enough. That's what I want to ask you. How do you feel about Byron? What is it that you can't stand about him, and what is it that he needs to change in the playoffs?
Well, I think the thing about Byron Leftwich is this is the same guy that we've been rocking with the last couple of years at the offensive coordinator position. But there is a little bit of a stubbornness when it comes to him. Just hear it in some of the press conferences, and he's like, well, our offense was just as good as it was last year, and it's like, well, no, it's not. He's like, well, we're 12th in the league. Well, that's yards, and it's not about yards, man. It's about putting up points. And he said earlier a couple weeks ago that it was about points. And, to me, I think a lot of times when things don't go right with the team, people really want to jump on the coaches, right? It's the low-hanging fruit. You can't blame all the players. You're going to blame this coach. You're going to blame that coach. But there have been situations this year where you're kind of questioning what Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles are doing. And you're getting these questions from, current athletes, not current athletes, but, former athletes here in the Tampa Bay area and abroad. And I just want to see some consistency. That's my whole thing. And that's why I said this on Friday on my show is all year long, there's been like, this person says this person says that. Just give me one straight answer. And there's a lot of people questioning whether the starters should play in this game, except from the Buccaneers, from the coaches, from the players, from the front office. So for the first time all year, I know it's week 18, everybody's on the same page. So in essence, like when you think about that, I don't care if they weren't on the same page for the first 17 weeks. I mean, what can we do now? Yeah, you would hope for them to be, but they won the division. They're in the playoffs. So if you're going to tell me, would you rather have them on the same page week 1 through 17 or 18 forward? I'll take 18 forward. That's the only answer that makes sense. So as much as we want to say, and you kind of scratch your head at some of the things that these guys have said, if they figure it out now, we're going to laugh at that. Well, maybe they were just kind of messing. Wouldn't that be crazy if they were just messing with us the whole time? Yeah, we're just going to go through this. We're going to tell you whatever we want during press conferences. But if they figure it out, if they right the ship and this team gets back to the Super Bowl and wins another one, everybody's just we're going to look back and go, did we make too much of this? I mean, we look at the Lightning from a couple years ago. They stunk going into the postseason. And I was telling everybody, it doesn't matter. They're in. Judge them how they do in the postseason. Then they won their second straight Stanley Cup. And everybody was like, what the hell were we getting crazy for in the last month of the season? We could be heading down that same path with the Buccaneers. We'll find out. I wouldn't bet on it, but that's the great thing about sports, man, is that you just never know until they take the field.
No, you're right. Because Slick and I have talked about this. Slick said some brilliant things. I remember Slick said, look, I hope they're holding back where they go, hey, we got
praying
where you thought it was, but it is what it is. Now, in my personal opinion, the reason why I think the Bucs have a better chance is not due to the coaching, the players. You got players on this team. We just talked about Levante Davis, the Brady's, the Evans, especially for Evans, Levante, Golston, and those guys. They know what it's like to be in circling drains of bad teams and just bad vibes. They want to get as much as they can. Because let's be real, Evans gets another Super Bowl Hall of Famer. Levante, another Super Bowl Hall of Famer. And them winning puts a lot of stock into other players in the offseason because we have to re-sign Dean. We have to re-sign Sean Murphy. These guys, they know if we take it all the way and we get deep in the postseason, our numbers, because this is still a business. These guys want to make money. Can you imagine, like you just said, all this time they were playing bad, but then they show up in the playoff? Coaches and other organizations will see that. Well, we want to get this guy. So in your opinion, who do you think is going to really take this to another level, coaching staff or the players?
Well, I mean, I think it's always at the end of the day, as much as we want, again, we were just talking about the coaches, it all comes down to the players. Those are the guys that have to execute this whole thing. The coaches can put the right game plan in motion. They can call the right play, but if the guys don't block, if the guys don't make the plays, if they don't execute, at the end of the day, it starts and ends with the players. I don't know if those guys are going to come back. We'd love to get Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting back, but if you're Sean Murphy-Bunting and you lose your starting spot, this kind of sounds a lot like Jordan Whitehead last year, right? If you're Sean Murphy-Bunting, maybe you do get a nice payday somewhere else. It was so crazy after the championship that Jason Light was able to bring back all 22 starters. Nobody thought it was happening. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Nobody thought that it was going to be feasible to get, in the last couple of years, bringing Shaq Barrett, bringing Chris Godwin, bringing Leonard Fournette back. Nobody saw that coming, because what happens is when you make another long postseason run and you win if you could win the Super Bowl, I mean, your price tags go up. I mean, the cap gymnastics, it's wild the way that we've been able to do it here in Tampa Bay, not just with the Buccaneers, but with the Lightning too, being able to be that successful and be able to bring these guys back. Of course, no state income tax helps as well. So the contract here is a little bit different than maybe a place like California or a place like New York. But to me, the players, I mean, just playing with Brady, and you said it yourself, playing with Brady, playing on a team like this. Look, a couple of years ago, we had one primetime game? You're getting 4, 5, 6 a year with a guy like Tom Brady. That's not counting the playoffs. So you're playing Sunday night, you're playing Monday night, Thursday night. All eyes are on you. So people know who Tristan Wirfs is. Not many people, if you ask a casual football fan, give me a right tackle, not many people could. We'll give you Lane Johnson, Tristan Wirfs. Not many people outside of that. And that's for some of our more rabid football fans. People, unfortunately, don't know Lavonte David as well as they should. And I think that could hurt him when it comes to Hall of Fame. I think Mike Evans probably is a Hall of Famer already. I don't think he needs a Super Bowl. I don't even know if Lavonte David will make the Hall of Fame one day if they win the Super Bowl again. Not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but he's a guy that's been flying under the radar because, as you articulated, they've been on some crappy teams over the years. If we had Tom Brady the first 3 years of his career, we're probably talking about Lavonte making his 7th Pro Bowl this year.
Right.
And it's a different story, but he's been on those teams with Josh McCown and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Mike Glennon and Jameis Winston, so many different quarterbacks.
Frank Schiano.
Going 4-12, and nobody cares if you had 115 tackles on a crappy team. Hell, you're out there half the time. So I'm excited. I think the players can step up, but that's the risk you run. And that's why it's so hard to have a dynasty. That's why it's so hard to go back to back and to win multiple championships, because your market value is going to go up when you win. That's the thing. And people want to bring a champion in. They want to bring a person in with a winning experience, because that kind of thing permeates throughout the entire team. And that's how you raise the level and become a perennial playoff contender. Just look at the impact of Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and guys like that.
Amen. Slick, you got a question you would like to ask?
Yeah, I'll go on to the final finish up because I think Jay's got to get out here. We were told about 10 minutes. I think we've gone slightly over. So when I always talk about what we're looking at the end of the game, how you're like prediction, I don't like to go down prediction. What I like to do is you wake up tomorrow, you pick up your paper or you pick up your app and you go to the sports section and there's the headline. What do you want that headline to say when you pick up that paper, you turn to the sports section? What does it say to you?
Trask wows in second half. Bucks win 31-10.
I'm on the Trask team. I want him to be so good.
Here, the thing is that when you're looking at Kyle Trask, even if you don't want him to be good, don't you just want to know? Don't you just want to know if he's good? Yes. And that's why, I hope he plays the entire second half. I don't mind Gabbert playing, because you have to look at it from the Bucks, and fans don't want to hear this. But you got to look at it from Gabbert's been doing backup role, holding the clipboard. Let Brady play a quarter. Let Gabbert get his feet wet, do his thing. He wants to play. And then let Trask take the team out in the second half. He probably won't have Godwin and Evans, but he'll probably have Gage, right? He'll probably have Devin Tompkins, Scotty Miller, K-Dot, and guys like that.
Yes.
Let's see what Trask has got. Now, is it the end-all, be-all? Like, if he sucks, does that mean he's not going to pan out? No. If he goes 14 for 15 and throws for $175 and 2 touchdowns, do I think he's going to be the next coming of Thomas Patrick Edward Brady? No. But it's good to at least get a little something, put something on tape. The kid's been busting his ass, and Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles both really went into detail with the amount of effort that he's put in, on the practice field. And listen, they didn't have to really go hard like that. And you invested a second-round pick on the kid, man. Don't you want to see a little something? This is a game that, in essence, the outcome does not matter. Let's see what the kid's got, at least a little bit, before the offseason, before, you see him next year, because you unfortunately don't really know what next year holds. Is Brady coming back? If he doesn't come back, is it Trask and Gabbert? Is it Trask, Gabbert, and another pro? Do they draft a guy in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds? We don't know. It's so tough to tell what they're going to do in the future when it comes to the quarterback position. I'd love to just get a little glimpse of him. But, yeah, ideally you wake up tomorrow, no injuries, Trask goes out, balls out, leads them to a victory, 28-10. Everything is status quo. I said this earlier this week on my show. On Monday, tomorrow, noon on WDAE, I don't want to talk about the Falcons game. That should be our goal, to not talk about it, because that means nothing crazy happened, and that means just, boom, we're focused and looking ahead to the postseason. If we're talking a lot about this game against Atlanta, other than Trask balling out or somebody doing something great, it's probably not going to be for a good reason. So let's hope that there's not any storylines. I think that's the thing. Slick, you ask, like, what's the headline? I'm almost hoping that the Bucks aren't on the headline. I'm hoping that, like, the Rays sign somebody or the Lightning have another all-star or something that we don't hear much about the Buccaneers. That could probably be for the best.
AJ, what about you? What you got?
No, that's it, my man. And I like Slick said, I know you got to get ready because the game is
game time, baby.
And tell everybody again, thank you again for coming out and speaking.
Much appreciated, brother.
Where can the folks again find you? Because this guy knows his stuff, players. Where can we find you?
Every day, noon to 3 during the weekdays on WDA. You can follow me at JRecher, JAYRECHER on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. No, not on Pinterest. But TikTok as well. I got my name really early so nobody could steal it. But yeah, just always trying to put content out and try to connect people here in the Tampa Bay area. And yeah, man, just hopefully talking about another Bucks win tomorrow at noon. That's for sure.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for your time, Jay. We really appreciate it. And hopefully we can bring you back on soon and we can just start talking about, hey, the Bucks are about to go to the NFC title.
Sounds good.
Ooh, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Appreciate you guys for having me, man. I'll talk to you guys again soon.
Anytime, brother. Thanks again.
Take care of yourself, man.
Hey, guys.
That actually is good. I don't want the Bucks to have nothing but, hey, Bucks kicked ass and called it a day. But I'm about to be out as well. For everybody else, you can find me at again AJ Turn Up. It's about Buck and Tom on YouTube. Flex_Luthor 813 on Instagram. A_Turner_24 Twitter. Again, we're about to get this win or whatever. It is what it is. Your Bucks are in the playoffs. That's all I get.
All that matters, baby. We're in the playoff time. What are you drinking?
I'm sipping on Longboard Island Lager, so it's pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good.
So, AJ, just before you pop out, give me your newspaper article headline.
Bucks go into the playoffs in style.
Nice. Okay, AJ, I'll see you post game.
Yes, sir. Post game.
Okay, see you post game, guys. We got to go do post game. Let's watch these Bucks. AJ, I'll catch you soon.
All right, my man. Go Bucks. Take it easy.
Take it easy, man. Okay, guys, that's the end of